The massive interstellar campus of the Universal Academic Consortium gleamed under artificial starlight, its crystal-like structures reflecting countless colors against the dark backdrop of space. Students from hundreds of different planetary systems moved through the grand entrance, their varied biological forms creating a living tapestry of galactic diversity. June Park stood near the central reception area, his tentacle-like appendages carefully adjusting his translation device. As a senior research coordinator, he had seen countless academic exchanges, but today felt different. The human delegation was arriving, and whispers of anticipation rippled through the alien student population. 3 human children walked through the massive entrance, 2 girls and 1 boy, looking completely unremarkable to the casual observer. Emily Rodriguez, a 12-year-old with dark hair and curious eyes, carried a slim holographic tablet. Next to her, Arya Patel adjusted her academic uniform, while Daniel Thompson walked with an unexpected confidence that seemed out of place for someone his age. The alien students watched with a mixture of curiosity and mild apprehension. Yun Kim, a secondary researcher standing next to June, leaned closer and muttered, "They look so ordinary." Ordinary was not a word that would describe these children for long. The universal registration system began processing the human students. Each child stepped forward, their biometric data scanning smoothly through the complex alien technology. What the watching researchers didn't realize was that these children were about to redefine everything they understood about interspecies academic interaction. Emily's holographic tablet began interfacing with the campus systems almost immediately. Where other students required hours of orientation and multiple technical support sessions, she seemed to intuitively understand the complex communication networks. Her fingers moved with a speed and precision that made the nearby alien technology specialists uncomfortable. Daniel Thompson caught the attention of several senior researchers. His posture wasn't just confident, it suggested a deep understanding of spatial dynamics that seemed impossible for a 12-year-old. He moved through the crowded reception area with a strategic awareness that reminded some researchers of advanced military training simulations. Arya Patel appeared the most unassuming of the 3. She carried a small notebook, an actual paper notebook, which was itself a curiosity in this age of advanced digital technology. What the researchers didn't know was that her seemingly simple notebook contained complex linguistic algorithms she had developed independently. The universal translation systems began processing their communication. Normally, such systems required extensive calibration for new species, but these human children seemed to communicate in a way that made the translation algorithms work perfectly on the first attempt, almost as if they understood the fundamental principles of communication. Beyond traditional linguistic boundaries, Wu Choi, another researcher observing the scene, noticed something peculiar. The human children were not just passively moving through the registration process. They were subtly mapping the entire system, understanding its complexities with an ease that seemed almost impossible. "Did you see that?" Wu whispered to June. "The way the girl's tablet is already interfacing with our most advanced communication networks?" June's sensory appendages twitched with a mixture of fascination and concern. These were not just students. They were something more. As the registration completed, the 3 human children looked around the massive interstellar campus with an expression that was both innocent and calculating. They weren't intimidated by the thousands of alien species surrounding them. Instead, they looked like they were preparing to learn, adapt, and potentially transform everything around them. The Universal Academic Consortium had welcomed many species over centuries of existence, but these human children were different. They represented something entirely new, a potential that would soon make every alien researcher question everything they thought they knew about intelligence, adaptation, and the nature of learning. Little did the researchers know, this was just the beginning of a discovery that would change galactic understanding forever. The first day of the human students' arrival had just begun, and already, the entire campus felt subtly different. Something was changing, and nobody quite understood what. The first academic challenge arrived quickly, designed to test the problem-solving skills of new interspecies students. The massive holographic chamber transformed into a complex scenario that typically challenged even the most advanced alien students. Most participants would spend hours analyzing the intricate problem, carefully mapping out potential solutions using standard methodologies. Emily Rodriguez stepped forward first. Her eyes scanned the holographic environment with a speed that made the watching researchers uncomfortable. Where other students saw a complicated puzzle, she saw opportunities. Within minutes, her fingers were moving across her tablet, breaking down the complex simulation into smaller, more manageable components. Daniel Thompson approached the challenge from a completely unexpected angle. Instead of following the prescribed path, he began asking questions that seemed to expose fundamental flaws in the existing problem-solving framework. His classmates watched in surprise, but the alien researchers leaned forward with growing intensity. Arya Patel's approach was perhaps the most subtle. She started drawing connections between seemingly unrelated elements of the challenge, creating a solution that nobody had anticipated. Her notebook, which looked so simple, contained complex mind-mapping techniques that seemed to defy conventional logic. The research team led by June Park observed with increasing fascination. Hyun Kim's recording devices struggled to capture the speed of the human children's problem-solving. What would typically take an entire team of advanced alien researchers was being dismantled by 3 children in a matter of minutes. The holographic challenge was designed to test spatial reasoning, adaptive thinking, and collaborative problem-solving. It was a standard assessment that had remained unchanged for decades. Most student groups would approach it systematically, following predetermined protocols. The human children did something entirely different. Emily began by completely redesigning the simulation's core parameters. Her tablet interfaced with the system in ways that shouldn't have been possible, finding hidden pathways and alternative solutions. The alien technology seemed to bend around her understanding rather than the other way around. Daniel's approach was more confrontational. He challenged the fundamental assumptions of the problem, asking questions that exposed critical weaknesses in the existing framework. His ability to identify systemic issues went far beyond what anyone expected from a 12-year-old student. Arya worked differently. She began connecting the challenge to seemingly unrelated concepts, drawing parallels that no other student had considered. Her notebook filled with diagrams that looked like chaotic scribbles but were actually complex problem-solving matrices. The watching researchers became increasingly agitated. Wu Choi's hands trembled as he recorded the unprecedented scene. These weren't just smart children. They were something more. A completely different approach to intelligence and problem-solving. As the challenge progressed, the human children began to work together in a way that defied traditional collaborative methods. They communicated almost telepathically, each understanding the other's thought processes instantaneously. Their solution emerged not as a single approach, but as a dynamic, living strategy that adapted in real time. When the final results were calculated, the entire chamber went silent. The human children had not just solved the challenge, they had completely transformed its fundamental structure. Their solution was 287% more efficient than the expected outcome, and it revealed multiple layers of complexity that had remained hidden for years. The alien researchers looked at each other in a mixture of horror and fascination. These weren't just students, they were something else entirely. June Park's translation device struggled to capture the full complexity of what had just occurred. The human children stood together, seemingly unaware of the profound impact they had just made. To them, it was just another problem to solve. The holographic chamber reset. The 3 children simply smiled at each other. They had no idea that they had just fundamentally challenged everything the Universal Academic Consortium thought it knew about intelligence, problem-solving, and the potential of young minds. The first day of academic challenges had revealed something extraordinary. The human students were not here to learn the existing system. They were here to completely redefine it. The research team knew one thing with absolute certainty. Nothing would ever be the same again. June Park's research team worked tirelessly in their observation chamber, analyzing every recorded moment of the human children's interactions. The standard psychological assessment tools they used began to malfunction almost immediately. unable to process the complex emotional and cognitive patterns they were witnessing. Emily Rodriguez demonstrated an emotional resilience that defied all known psychological models. During a simulated high-stress scenario, where most alien students would show signs of anxiety or shutdown, she remained calm and strategic. Her ability to process emotional information and transform it into actionable intelligence was unlike anything the researchers had ever seen. Daniel Thompson's psychological profile revealed something even more disturbing. When presented with seemingly impossible challenges, he didn't just adapt, he reimagined the entire problem space. Where other students saw limitations, he saw opportunities. His mental flexibility suggested a form of cognitive processing that went beyond traditional intelligence metrics. Arya Patel's emotional intelligence became a particular point of fascination. She could read social dynamics with an intuition that seemed almost supernatural. During group interactions, she navigated complex social landscapes with a skill that made seasoned diplomatic experts look like amateurs. The research team discovered a series of unprecedented psychological characteristics. Emotional plasticity. The human children could transform emotional experiences into cognitive tools. Adaptive resilience. Challenges that would break most species became fuel for their growth. Creative problem solving. Their minds didn't just solve problems. They redesigned entire problem structures. Yoon Kim spent hours reviewing the data, her tentacle-like appendages moving nervously across multiple holographic displays. The more they studied, the more confused they became. These weren't just intelligent children. They represented an entirely new form of cognitive existence. During one particularly revealing experiment, the researchers created a scenario designed to test psychological breaking points. Most alien species would show clear signs of stress or mental fatigue. The human children did something entirely unexpected. Emily began transforming the stress scenario into a learning opportunity. Her brain activity showed patterns of neural plasticity that shouldn't be possible in such a young organism. She wasn't just enduring the challenge, she was actively growing from it. Daniel's response was even more shocking. When pushed into what should have been a mentally overwhelming situation, he began developing entirely new problem-solving strategies in real time. His brain seemed to generate solutions faster than the researchers could track them. Arya demonstrated an emotional intelligence that bordered on the impossible. She could sense the psychological states of those around her with a precision that suggested some form of advanced empathetic capability. Where other students might struggle with interpersonal dynamics, she moved through them like a skilled navigator. Wu Choi, the team's senior psychological analyst, began to develop a terrifying hypothesis. These human children weren't just adapting to their environment, they were actively reshaping it through their mere presence. Their psychological profile suggested a species that didn't just survive challenges, but used them as a primary mechanism of evolution. The research team's initial classification began to change. These weren't students. They were living examples of a potentially revolutionary form of intelligence. June Park's final report was marked with a classification that sent shivers through the entire academic consortium. The human children represented a psychological profile that defied everything they understood about intelligent life. Their ability to transform emotional experiences into cognitive tools suggested a form of intelligence that was less about processing information and more about continuously recreating it. They didn't just learn, they evolved in real time. As the research team compiled their findings, one thing became terrifyingly clear. The human children were not just participants in the academic exchange. They were potentially redesigning the HFY entire concept of intelligence itself. The psychological deconstruction had revealed something far more profound than anyone had anticipated. These were not just exceptional children. They were a glimpse into a fundamentally different way of existing. Wu Choi's historical research database hummed with intense activity. Holographic screens flickered with centuries of human historical records, each revelation more surprising than the last. What began as a routine historical investigation quickly transformed into something far more extraordinary. The first surprising discovery came from early human technological developments. Every major breakthrough seemed to have roots in childhood, experiences that defied conventional understanding. The inventors and leaders who changed human history often traced their innovations back to seemingly simple childhood moments of curiosity and imagination. Take the early space exploration records. Researchers found that most pioneering astronauts and rocket scientists had demonstrated unusual problem-solving skills as children. They didn't just dream about space. They systematically broke down impossible challenges into manageable solutions. Military. Historical archives revealed an even more disturbing pattern. Human children's psychological reports showed a consistent ability to adapt to changing environments with a speed that terrified traditional strategic analysts. Where other species saw obstacles, human children saw opportunities for creative, problem-solving. Diplomatic records told an even more complex story. Major international conflicts and resolutions often had unexpected origins in childhood interactions. Children who learned to negotiate playground disputes seemed to develop advanced diplomatic skills that would later reshape entire global landscapes. Technological innovation timelines became particularly interesting. Every major leap in human technology appeared to stem from a child's simple question or unexpected approach to a problem. The most advanced artificial intelligence systems were often inspired by children's imaginative thinking. The research team discovered something truly remarkable about human childhood development. Unlike other species that followed strict learning protocols, human children treated knowledge as a flexible, constantly evolving system. They didn't just learn, they continuously reimagined what learning could be. June Park's hands trembled as he reviewed the compiled data. Each historical record suggested the same terrifying conclusion. Human potential was not just about individual achievement, but about a collective ability to transform challenges into opportunities. Medical records showed another fascinating trend. Human children possessed an extraordinary ability to recover from psychological and physical challenges. What would devastate other species became a source of growth and development for humans. The most shocking revelations came from interdimensional conflict archives. During previous galactic challenges, human children had been consistently underestimated. Yet, they consistently emerged as unexpected solutions to seemingly impossible problems. Daniel Thompson's historical research skills became particularly impressive. During a routine historical analysis project, he began connecting historical events in ways that surprised even the most experienced researchers. His ability to see patterns across centuries suggested a form of historical understanding that went beyond traditional academic approaches. Emily Rodriguez demonstrated an equally remarkable skill. Her ability to analyze complex historical documents revealed interconnections that had remained hidden for generations. Where other researchers saw isolated events, she saw a complex, interconnected narrative of human potential. Arya Patel's contribution was subtle, but profound. Her understanding of cultural dynamics allowed her to interpret historical records with an empathy and depth that traditional researchers missed. She didn't just read history, she seemed to understand its underlying emotional landscapes. The AO research team's final compilation painted a terrifying picture. Human children were not just students or future potential. They were living repositories of an adaptive intelligence that could reshape entire civilizations. Wu Choi's final report carried a classification that would send shockwaves through the academic consortium. The historical context revealed something far more profound than anyone had anticipated. Human potential was not just about individual achievement, but about a collective ability to transform challenges into opportunities. The Universal Academic Consortium had welcomed many species over centuries. But these human children represented something entirely different, a living testament to the power of adaptive intelligence. As the research team completed their historical analysis, one thing became absolutely clear. Humanity was not just a species. They were a continuously evolving concept of potential itself. The historical investigation had revealed a truth more complex and terrifying than anyone could have imagined. The Universal Academic Consortium's grand presentation hall stood silent, filled with representatives from thousands of galactic civilizations. June Park approached the central holographic platform, his research documents floating around him like living data clouds. Emily, Daniel, and Arya sat in the front row, completely unaware of the profound impact they were about to have on galactic understanding. They looked like ordinary children, fidgeting slightly in their academic uniforms, occasionally exchanging quiet whispers. June Park's voice resonated through the translation systems, clear and precise. Distinguished colleagues, we have uncovered something extraordinary about human children that challenges everything we understand about intelligence and potential. The holographic displays began showing complex data streams, psychological profiles, historical analyses, problem-solving simulations. Each image told a story of unexpected capability, of a species that didn't just adapt but continuously reimagined its own potential. Footage from previous research played across massive screens. The alien representatives watched in growing disbelief, as the human children solved complex challenges with an ease that seemed almost supernatural. Where other species saw problems, these children saw opportunities for transformation. Daniel Thompson's problem-solving simulation played first. Researchers watched as he systematically dismantled a complex technological challenge, creating solutions that exposed fundamental flaws in existing systems. His approach wasn't just intelligent, it was revolutionary. Emily Rodriguez's emotional resilience demonstration followed. While other students crumbled under high-stress scenarios, she remained calm, transforming psychological pressure into strategic thinking. Her brain activity showed patterns of neural plasticity that defied conventional understanding. Arya Patel's social intelligence analysis revealed perhaps the most terrifying insight. She could navigate complex social dynamics with an intuition that suggested a form of communication beyond traditional understanding. Where diplomatic experts struggled, she found solutions effortlessly. The presentation reached its critical moment. June Park's final slide contained a simple but profound conclusion. Human children are not just students. They are living strategies of evolutionary adaptation. Silence filled the massive hall. Thousands of alien representatives processed the implications. These weren't just exceptional children. They represented a fundamentally different approach to intelligence itself. Hyun Kim stepped forward, presenting additional research data. Our analysis shows that human children possess a unique ability to transform challenges into opportunities. They don't just solve problems, they redesign the entire problem structure. The human children remained unaware of the profound impact of the presentation. Daniel adjusted his academic uniform. Emily whispered something to Arya, who smiled quietly. They looked like ordinary children, unaware that they were rewriting galactic understanding. Wu Choi presented the historical context, showing how human childhood experiences had consistently led to major technological and social breakthroughs. Every major innovation, every unexpected solution in human history, seemed to have roots in childhood curiosity and imagination. The research team's conclusion was clear and terrifying. Human potential was not limited by traditional understanding. These children represented a continuous evolution of intelligence, a living system of adaptation that could reshape entire civilizations. As the presentation concluded, the alien representatives sat in stunned silence. The three human children stood ready to return to their normal academic activities, completely unaware of the academic revolution they had just triggered. June Park's final words echoed through the hall. We are not just observing a species, we are witnessing the emergence of a new form of intelligent life. The Universal Academic Consortium would never be the same. The human children had done more than participate in an academic exchange. They had fundamentally challenged everything known about intelligence, potential, and the nature of learning itself. As the children walked out, the massive hall remained silent. Something profound had changed, and nobody quite understood the full implications of what they had just witnessed. The galaxy had just been introduced to a new understanding of intelligence, and it came in the form of three seemingly ordinary children.